Hi, my beautiful butterflies. It's your girl, Atiya. Welcome to the I Actually Don't Give a Fuck podcast, formerly known as the Atiya Experience and the Atiya Pleasure podcast. I created this podcast as a safe space for people who are just like me and are genuinely tired of giving so many useless fucks to people and things that are completely not fuck-worthy. Think of this as a sensual rebellion disguised as a podcast, created as an unapologetic fuck you to the patriarchy and all people involved. This podcast is where we decolonize our minds, undomesticate our desires, decenter men, recenter ourselves, and redefine what femininity looks like outside of the male gaze. Ugh. This is the playground for every part of you that society has tried to tame. The too emotional, too loud, too sexual, too sensitive, and too powerful pieces get to come out, play, stretch, shake off their shame, and maybe even twerk a little under the moonlight, which is highly recommended. And yeah, sure, men are welcome to listen and learn too, but quietly, from afar. At best, they are sitting in the back taking notes in preparation for our new way of being. Now, healing can be sticky, so sometimes we'll touch on sensitive topics such as healing from sexual trauma, intimate partner violence, systematic oppression, and more. But I will always put a trigger warning in each episode's description, so keep an eye out for that. And now it's time for us to step out of the cage that the world has built around us and walk barefoot into our own wildness. This is I Actually Don't Give a Fuck. What the fuck is up, you beautiful butterflies? Hello, it's your girl Atiya, and I feel like my camera is crooked, and I literally just fixed this. This is so annoying, but I'm not restarting this shit because guess what? I actually don't give a fuck. And yes, I said camera because I am officially recording videos now, video and audio, which I'm so extremely excited about. Sometimes the videos will be for Patreon only, depending on what we talk about. Other times they will just go straight to YouTube, so stay tuned for that. But welcome to the first official episode of I Actually Don't Give a Fuck, starring me, Atiya. Can we start with taking 3 deep breaths, please? Because I just feel like I'm very excited and I'm about to go drink my shroom tea. But first, I just want us to get grounded together. Okay, you ready? We're gonna take 3. We're gonna inhale deeply and then exhale even deeplier. Okay? Absolutely amazing. You know, sometimes when I'm breathing, I actually rush the breath out, and I think it's truly a form of people pleasing. I'm like, is everybody else breathing? Is everybody else still breathing? Because if they're not still breathing, then I don't have to. Like, I can speed up my breaths, and so I've been actively trying to breathe in my own time. If you're still fucking doing your deep breath, good on you. You don't have to keep up with my breath, and I've had to learn that. Even I was doing something the other day, and I had to take a couple of deep breaths with someone, and they were done before I was, and so I was actively like trying to continue the breaths while like the session continued, which I thought was amazing, because that's what it should be. We should be consciously breathing at all times. We should just be breathing in general at all times, but the more consciously, the better. All right, that's your little life tidbit for the day, because we're about to dive the fuck into everything. Okay, so first of all, if you've been 4 seasons deep, because this is officially season 4, we made the season 4, and most podcasts don't make it past season 1, episode 7. I heard this at some podcast conference. I was about to go off, and I decided not to because I'm growing. And I was supposed to get I gotta say, I was supposed to get a free mic, and this fucking bitch, because I didn't go to the place on time, like I didn't realize there was a timeline for when I could get my gift. This girl who was like giving out the gifts literally took my gift and was walking by me, and I was like, oh, that's my gift. Like I won the whatever, with the raffle or something like that. I was supposed to get a free microphone, and it was a cloud microphone. I remember this, and she was like, well, you weren't here to receive it. Girl, I was literally recording a podcast with my homie. Like, and then she was like, okay, well, I can't do anything about that. I was pissed. I should have just found the director of the program and told them what happened. I don't know why I didn't or why I couldn't find that person. And maybe I did and they just acted like they were. I found somebody and they acted like there was nothing they could do about it. Or like they acted like they cared a little bit. Anyways, I never went to that fucking podcast conference again. With that being said, I got a new mic. As you can see, I'm very excited. And this is not a fucking ad. I'm actually going to put a little sticker over this because they don't deserve the advertisements, because this company has actually done me wrong a couple of times. But if they want to make it up to me, that's fine. But I got a microphone in 2022 when I first started recording this podcast, and it has literally been defective from 2022 to 2026. I've had to send it back like 2 or 3 times. So we're trying again with this microphone. Hopefully all is well. So far, so good. Why did I decide to create a new podcast name or branding for season 4? Because I'm a new person and I actually don't give a fuck, right? I'm a new person, but with the existing Atiya still in here. So season 1 was the Love Atiya experience. And I feel like that was so me at the time, right? I was talking about sucking dick and taking names. I was telling my stories, and I was being very, very, very transparent. I was being very detailed because of my beautiful neurodivergent brain. But I realized that I was sharing a lot. So those episodes have not been archived. They've just been put behind my premium subscription. So if you want to listen to them, or if you want to catch up on the story times that are very intimate with a lot of details, then you could check out that portion of season 1. Season 2, I felt like I was a bit more conscious. I was a bit more grounded. I was a year out of an immense amount of trauma, but little did I know I was about to actually go through a lot more trauma. So I ended up, I think, really using that as like a platform to vent. Do I have white shit on my lips? Okay, I don't. Had to check. But I ended up basically using my podcast as a form of therapy. I was very depressed. I had a lot of losses. I had a lot of things that had happened to me. If you know, you know. So some of those episodes have been once again put into the premium subscription. So if you want to check out those, and if you feel like you're going through something and maybe those can help you, just like hearing somebody that you relate to going through them, please, by all means, enjoy. Then season 3, I was grieving friendships. I was grieving relationships. I was grieving my cat most of all, and still am, but I feel like I'm doing it in a different light. And honestly, I really wanted to push this content out in March because March is the month that she transitioned. So this will make 1 full year of me living life without her, which has really felt very eerie, but also very grounded and very, not always that grounded. I don't know if that's the word I really want to use, but it's been very insightful. I've been learning a lot. And this girl, my cat, has been shedding people left the fuck and right, okay? The epiphanies, the downloads, the dreams, they have all been very vivid. I took a break from smoking, which was amazing and like very healing for my body and my mind and my spirit. And I'm just trying to recalibrate my relationship with that. I started microdosing again, which has really helped me feel more connected. And yeah, I just felt like season 3 showed a very raw version of me. And I think that y'all needed to see the breakdown so that you could experience the breakthrough in season 4. So here we are with season 4, and this is the I actually don't give a fuck portion. And interestingly enough, the last year and a half was the Love Atiya Pleasure podcast. Because honestly, I was doing anything I could to find fucking pleasure in my life. Not everything I could, but a lot of things that I could. And then this is also the year that I am launching the Ethereal Pleasure Oasis. I have a story time about that, and I don't know if I'm going to share it in this episode because I might end up going the fuck off again, but I'll just say that originally the launch was supposed to happen in December for the Ethereal Pleasure Oasis. And again, this was in dedication to my beautiful fur baby Tam, my daughter Tam, to my sister Sue, my cat sister Sue, and then also to my mom, who is the what is the word? Catalyst for me and my relationship with pleasure. I wouldn't have known the importance of pleasure and how it needed to show up in my life without her having these transparent conversations with me from 16 and above. Honestly, before 16, because she knew I was just a curious child. Quick side note, can we give it up for the outfit? Thank you. I'm keeping the skirt because now that I'm thick, it fits me very well. But for the top, it's actually poking me in every single section that's holding up this corset. So this will be the last time that you see me in this top. So enjoy it. It actually was perfect to go with this skirt, and now I don't think I can wear it outside. No. Like, can I take these brackets out? Maybe I could take the brackets out. Okay, anyways, ADHD. So what the fuck is this podcast gonna be about? It's gonna be about kind of an incomposition of everything that I just spoke about. It's going to be a lot about pleasure, a lot about me and my life experiences and how the fuck I'm growing through them. And it's going to be about how I actually don't give a fuck and how you actually don't have to give a fuck either. Now, there are a lot of other synonyms. Is it palindromes? Confidentious? We're just going to make up words. I think it's a synonym, but it's a lot of other, no. What's it called when you put periods in between something? An acronym. It's a lot of other acronyms that can go for I actually don't give a fuck, IADGAF, because sometimes I actually do give a fuck. No, sometimes we're going to talk about shit that, no, I actually do give a fuck about this, and I think we should all give a fuck about this. But this first episode is all about what we actually don't give a fuck about. And I really wanted this episode to be about something that really resonated with me in this moment and honestly throughout my whole entire life. And that was cutting motherfuckers off. Oh, if you know me, you know I am amazing at that. And the people in my life hate it because they know they could be next. But for me, I don't think that I've ever cut somebody off for no reason. I actually sometimes think that I used to take too long to cut somebody off. I needed too many examples to cut somebody off. I actually just heard this quote or this diagnosis or this reflection of a girl who said, if you grew up in a household where one or two of your parents, so for me, it was one of my parents, were not the kindest to me at all times, and so you start creating this thing in your head, especially when you do see a kind side to them, like, oh, they're not a bad person, and he's not a bad person, right? There's good in them. So you then try to go seek the good in every single person who's hurt you after that. And so that fucked me up because it's very true. I think because I've seen my dad have great, great, beautiful, loving sides to him. And then I've seen him have sides that have completely derailed me and my growth. And I'm like scrappling up, trying to get up the hill of pain to heal again. And then he kicks me down with some minimalization or emotional abandonment. I do seek the good sides and the good moments. And I always revel in the good times that we have had. And so the same goes for a lot of the people that have been in my life. I try to seek these positives in them, not realizing enough is a fucking enough. So I'm going to tell y'all a story. And I'd like to start off with the story, because when I love telling stories, I feel like that's a big part of my podcast. And two, it's a reflection to show y'all how great my discernment has become, how fast I am at being able to identify a fucking problem and then eradicating that problem from my life. Now, let me start off with the disclaimer that any of the stories that I am going to share, I just got distracted by how great my boobs looked. They like really look like I got some cleavage or something. I feel like I should just talk like this so y'all could really see my boobs. But anyways, I want to start with the disclaimer that the people I'm talking about are not bad, or they're not horrible people. They're not fucking like fucked up. They're just, some of them are fucked up. I can't even lie. I'm fucked up. We're all fucked up. We're humans on this fucked up ass earth. We're going to be fucked up. But I don't want to demonize people. This is just to bring attention to patterns that a lot of people don't get brought to their attention. And so for anonymity purposes, I will not be using real names. Okay. Now, when it comes to me speaking about family, I can't lie. You're going to hear uncle, cousin, aunt, dad, mom. It just kind of is what it is. And I think that it's actually really healing for me to be able to speak about that freely, because I think that a lot of people can connect. First of all, I will just say that there are not a lot of videos of young women complaining about their fathers and the behaviors of their fathers online. And I truly believe that that's because we feel like we have to protect them. I know for me, that's how I feel. I know I definitely feel like I have to protect my dad. I have to protect my mom. I have to protect a lot of people in my life. But you know who actually has to come first in that protection is moi. A lot of the things that I speak about, though, parentally or familially, will probably be on Patreon just for the sake of like the whole world not being in my business. So that'll just be some extra exclusive stuff for my patrons who have been supporting me for the last 3 whole years. Like, what the actual fuck? I'm so excited because I'm about to send them some gifts. They don't know it. They don't even know it, but I'm about to send them some gifts. So that's really exciting. But with that being said, I would like to share a story about how I just cut somebody off after only seeing them for 2 hours or like an hour and a half, but speaking to them for about 3 or 4 days. So I just met somebody, and they were actually queer, which I didn't know when I first started speaking to them. They reached out to me because I made an inquiry about microdoses. And the conversation started off pretty normal. They asked me where I was staying. So I told them where I was staying, and I didn't tell them exactly where because it's a safety hazard. But I remember, not again. We are not starting this. Oh my God. I know that I actually don't give a fuck, but like I'm always belching. No. This is the thing. Look at my bottle. The Ethereal Pleasure Oasis. Okay. Was that ASMR? Wait, is this ASMR? I was trying to make like juicy noises with my mouth. I don't even know if water is gonna help with the fucking burps, but we're gonna try to get through this with minimal gas. It's just because I'm hungry. But even last time when I ate lentils, and guess what I had? Gas. Like, what the fuck? Anyways, I do want to just say though that it's so interesting that the last couple of episodes I've made, I've been venting about my dad, and I always feel bad after I vent about it. And a part of me is like, okay, well, we can just delete these parts of the episodes out. And then another part of me is, again, like I just said, that's me trying to protect people. You don't get to hurt my feelings behind closed doors and then I just act like everything is fucking okay in real life. That is some fucked up traumatic shit, and I ain't doing it. So I just needed to declare that for myself so that when I'm editing this episode back and then I get to this part, this is a gentle reminder not to cut that first part of the episode out. Because you're working through this together, okay, people? With that being said, I met this person. They asked me where I was staying. I told them. They told me where they were staying, and I said, "Oh, I'm not familiar with that part." And they basically said, "Well, yeah, you could check Google." That's basically what it gave. Like they literally said you could check Google, but they said, "Yeah, I normally would just check Google." Bitch, I did. Anyways. I let it go. I really did not take a lot of shit personally at all. And this was even before they told me that they were neurodivergent. But long story short, I think I just want to put the audio clip in here. I think I'm literally just going to put the audio recording that I made for her in here and call it a day. And then we can just like listen to it together. Do I have it on here? Let's see. Because if so, we can actually listen to it live. I did not prepare to do this, but I think we might. It might be weird though if I'm already recording. Okay, no, yeah, I can't play it. It's not even here. But I'm going to insert it now. Good morning, beautiful soul. Buenos dias. I hope you're feeling so amazing. I've been reflecting on our hangout, and there were a couple of things that I wanted to share. And I just wanted to take time to officially process it. We said, okay, we feel emotions in a moment, but sometimes it takes a little bit of time for us to process. So I gave myself the night to process things. And this morning, even when I was meditating, I was having all of these downloads and remembrances of moments. And I said, okay, now is the perfect time for me to share some of my observations about yesterday. So one thing I will say is that I've observed when I hang around my other neurodivergent peers, sometimes we have to be very, very, very cognizant of sharing the floor. And I say that because I've had to do that, with just making sure that I ask questions, or when I'm sharing a story, I want to make sure that somebody else gets to share a story. And I think there was a bit of an imbalance with the shares, but I also know that sometimes I just have to be a listener, and sometimes others might not even get the space to be able to express themselves in this way. I know that you said that you're pretty much a recluse and you spend a lot of time in the house. So I figured, maybe you just needed to be listened to more than spoken to. So I said, okay, I'll be able to practice that here. So that was not a problem. But then when I did get to share, this is when I felt as though I would continuously get cut off. And again, that's the thing with neurodivergence, but it is something that I think is important to just bring up. So even when I was talking about the cow, and then you started telling me about how much you love Jamaica Avenue, and then the conversation got diverted back to something regarding something that was going on in your world. And so I was able to bring the conversation back to the cow at some point. But then and the cow that I saved from the slaughterhouse, but as I was sharing the story, I started mentioning that I worked with PETA, and that's when I felt like things got a bit disrespectful in the conversation. And you started cutting me off and saying, "Oh, you're one of those people. You're one of those people. You're one of them." And so instead of refuting it, I'm like, no, yeah, I am. That's me. And so I continued to share my story. And then you cut me off again and said that, people in PETA care more about animals than they did humans. And I totally agree with that. And I also am one of those people. And instead of, I think, meeting that with curiosity, I feel like it was met with judgment. So I could have explained so much insight in regards to my symbiotic relationship with the animals and with nature and how they make me feel really connected to this world. We're in a place where humans don't, right? Like, if I was talking to a bird, I think that bird would have been able to listen to me and I would have felt very connected. But sometimes speaking with humans, there are just certain things that I feel like may be a disconnect. So yeah. And then, when I made the comment about, I feel like that is me. And I do feel like there are a lot more people in this world advocating for humans and human rights than there are animals. And, I said, I feel like those people are able to then advocate for humans, and animals can't advocate for themselves. And you said, well, do they though? Do they? And you kind of debated that. And being that I've literally been an animal activist since I was, I'll say 18, and then started doing my own activism at 19, I've observed certain things in the field, and I've had debates with these kind of people before where they've said, well, why don't you fight for kids? And it's not like there's an absence of me fighting for children. My main primary focus is fighting for animals, because that's what I know I was put on this earth for, and I've known that since I was a child. So then when I shared with you some more insight and shared with you that I was writing petitions against deforestation when I was 4, you literally rolled your eyes and was like, oh, deforestation, oh God. I was like, oh, what an interesting way to meet this information. And then I shared with you a last story where I told you I used to pray for the coats. And being that you said that you were someone who believed in Jesus and believed in love, and that could have been something that I judged. Truly. I had said that there are certain things that I would not really be able to mesh with when it came to a friendship. And one of those things was not having the same religious beliefs. So when you said you believed in Jesus, I could have said, oh, you're one of them. I could have met you with that same energy. But instead, I felt like I met you with an open heart. And so when I told you the story about the fur coats and me praying for the animals and, apologizing to them for the cruelty they had to endure, you said, dígame menos, or tell me less. And I literally needed to clarify that you were saying that. And I said, tell me less. And you said, yeah. And I never said that to you with anything. When you were speaking about your children, I listened with open ears. I never said, tell me less about them. Or when you were speaking about anything that you've shared with me, I've never asked you to reduce what you were sharing with me. So I just feel like that was really disrespectful. And in that moment, I really didn't even know how to handle it. I did speak up though. And I did say, well, this is one of the most important parts about me. And so I don't think it's fair for this part of me to get rejected, actively. Like it was an active instance of that being marginalized. And so I said, this is one of the parts of me that is the most unapologetic out of all parts of me. But then after I explained to you that I had set up some protests against the Universal Circus, you then switched the conversation and you asked me if I had hair at the time. And I said, yeah, I had hair. And then you asked if you could see pictures. And I was like, of me with my hair? And you said, yeah. So, okay, then the conversation got diverted to that. So I went on Facebook and I started looking for pictures of me with my hair. But then I started looking for pictures of me at protests, hoping that could just help you see me in the field. And then when I showed you a picture of me with hair, you said, oh, yeah, I like that curly hair. Yeah, you look younger. And it kind of actually reminded me of the story I told you where I was on the phone with my best friend and she says, well, at least I have hair. I don't know, like if you would have shown me a picture of you with a different hairstyle, my first comment wouldn't have been, oh, you look younger. Even when you told me that you were speaking to somebody who was also your age, I made a comment and said, wow, y'all never look your age. Like you guys always, you look younger than, like, I can never guess I don't know what 40 is supposed to look like. When you asked me what your age was, I just really tried to do the math based on what you told me. So yeah, I just thought it was a strange comment to say, well, you look younger. Yeah, I was younger. I was literally 23 in the picture. So it would make sense. I was less traumatized, but I know that I still look young now. So there's no question about that. But it was just a strange comment to make in the midst of everything. So yeah, there were a couple of other things that I just kind of let roll off my back. But I think those were the two main instances where I just felt really unseen. And And even when I tried to meet that with grace, I felt like it was still refuted with disrespectful comments and comments that shut me down, like tell me less, or you're one of those people, or, debating my own experiences, when this was kind of the first time I was able to really, really share something about myself, because I felt like I had really shared the floor and just been more of a listener yesterday. So the last thing I will share is when you asked me how much I paid for rent. Now, the question wasn't offensive because I know that's something that is very much so talked about as a whole. Like, it's just a thing in the expat community. But I just have actively not shared that, because in the past when I've shared it, I've just not felt good afterwards. And so I felt like you had received it and you apologized if you offended me, but I wasn't offended. I just took it as an opportunity to practice a boundary. So I shared that. I said, no, it's no worries at all. I just wanted to practice setting the boundary. And after I said that and even used the word boundary, you said, well, I could have just guessed how much I can just guess anyway. Like I could probably guess. I probably know because you live it. And I was like, oh, well, there goes the boundary if you're just going to go ahead and guess. Like, I don't know. It just seemed like a flippant comment to make in a situation where I was practicing setting a boundary. So yeah, I think that I wanted to take the night to really sit and think it over and to marinate on it. But in the midst of my meditation, like I said, these memories just kept popping up of moments where I felt really unheard. And I think one of the biggest core values for me is, of course, respect and care and feeling heard, because I give that to people. I make sure that people feel heard, which is one of the reasons why I love voice notes, because I feel like we're able to take turns in sharing as opposed to FaceTime or phone calls where maybe the moments can be a bit more monopolized. So yeah, I think that after observing and really sitting with it, I don't necessarily think that our views align or the way that we maybe fully show up in the world align or show up for others align. And that's okay. That does not make either one of us any less than beautiful humans. I think it's just okay to acknowledge if there's like a bit of a lack of alignment. And I mean, like I said, even with you having certain different beliefs in Jesus and certain other things, I think that I handled that with grace, and I felt like, that is who you are, and that's something that I will get to learn about you. But I didn't necessarily feel like these different parts of me were met with that same grace. So I just wanted to express it and share. I'm not keen on hanging out in person anymore, or chatting as frequently as we were, but I do also want to say that I know that we will definitely see each other out and about, and you will be met with love. You will literally be met in the same way that I met you yesterday. But I think just for the sake of loving myself and being in mutual friendships where I'm able to feel seen as well, I don't necessarily think that this aligns. So I want to thank you so much for the time. Thank you for initiating the hangout. Thank you for the kombucha, and thank you for the bonding that we did get to have over the last couple of days. It was really fun. But yes, I think I'm going to pull back and take some time for myself and focus on some different things. And yeah, just thank you for your time and for your energy and for the lessons and for the insight. And I appreciate you. And like I said, I'm sure I'll see you around.
Okay, so yeah, that's the story. It's a lot to unpack, but I don't even feel like taking the energy to fully unpack it. All I will just say is I feel like, first of all, let's give it up to me for speaking up for myself. And I love to listen back to these kind of things, because this was one of the times where I felt like I was being the most authentic. I don't want to say I didn't care about the outcome, but I think that I used to sugarcoat my words so much for people that they wouldn't necessarily get the message. And I would listen back and I would say, you know what, I kind of understand why they don't get the message. I get why they don't get that I'm cutting them off right now. She did proceed to send me 16 minutes worth of voice notes afterwards, but in between that, she thanked me very much for the reflection and for sharing that. And for just giving her that insight. The interesting thing, though, was that she said that she was a homebody and that she was a recluse. And that's why I really appreciated speaking to her, because I thought we were on the same thing of needing a couple of hours to recharge and needing days to recharge and not wanting to talk to people. But it seemed like the more she got to know me, the more she wanted to talk to me. At one point she said, oh, yeah, we should just hop on FaceTime. I don't know why we haven't hopped on FaceTime yet. We haven't hopped on FaceTime because I'm not a FaceTimer. I'm literally trying to schedule something with my best friend to get on FaceTime, and both of our schedules are so crazy. Who knows when that's going to happen? And then outside of our schedules, just life in general, and our bodies and our minds and our hearts. We just fucking need to have the energy to be able to talk on FaceTime. And it's not an absence of love. It's just is how we see each other. It's how we know how we operate, because she sees me and I see her. This person refused to, I guess, see the truth of who I was telling her I was, because she wasn't being honest with me. You know, I meet these people just like Reiki girl, and they make these grandiose statements like, oh, I'm a homebody, I'm a recluse. Oh, I can see beyond people's masks. That's what she kept saying. I can see beyond people's masks. I'm starting to realize that when people say things like that, they are projecting, because they want to see, can I see beyond the masks? Am I agreeing? Because I can see beyond the mask. I can see, and I think that this is where the benefit of the doubt comes in, right? And I think that I've been giving too much goddamn benefits and not enough doubts. I used to live so doubtfully, and now I live so beneficially for these other motherfuckers, and I can't anymore. It's no more benefits of the doubt. Now, I said to myself that I wanted to share this story with a peaceful heart, because it's done, right? No harm, no foul. There was a bit of harm, but it felt like I hate unconscious harm. So even the comment when people are so fixated on my hair, it's not even funny. So I had a previous best friend that claimed me after 2 weeks of knowing her. Please take that as a red flag. If you meet somebody and immediately they're like, hey, bestie, abort. No, abort fucking mission. That's why this episode is about not being as accessible, because I don't know what makes people think that they're entitled to you and your connection, but it's a thing. So she called me her best friend within 2 weeks of knowing her. This was 2 years ago. And then on Valentine's Day, on the last day that we ever hung out of 2025, I remember she was feeling really bad about herself. I think I've shared this story before. And she said, like we're doing videos together, not on FaceTime, but we're just sending little videos to each other. And in the video, she says, oh my God, I just feel so ugly. Like I can't find an outfit that looks good on me. Well, at least I have hair. What? Speaking to your bald ass friend and saying, at least I have hair, as if that's something that makes somebody prettier in that context, because you're feeling so ugly, but at least you have hair. Bitch, at least I feel beautiful and I don't have hair. I don't know. That to me was one of those Freudian slips where you either you're sharing your self-hate, but projecting it as self-love. For instance, the other situation where I had a friend who had struggled with his weight for years, had struggled with his self-image for years. I had a biracial friend with a fat ass, and we're in the park, and he literally said, we were supposed to go talk to some cop or something, and he says to the biracial friend, oh, you go talk to him. You're the pretty friend. I have never let that Negro live that down. We are no longer friends. We are no longer talking. And honestly, that should have been the moment where I saw everything for what it was. And even the way he would violate my boundaries with not wanting to be friends with her, not wanting to create a thicker or follow up with the bond that I once had with her, because she violated me for whatever reason. He wanted me to be uncomfortable, or us to be friends, or he didn't want to be uncomfortable. Whatever it was, he ended up ambushing us on his birthday and having us meet up together. And then that's where the friendship blossomed again. So, you know, I think I just see the pattern of these little slick comments are not slick. They're either a perpetuation of the hate you feel for me, or a perpetuation of the hate you feel for yourself. And regardless of which one it is, I do not have to be subjected to it. So I'm getting faster and faster with, you're out of here. Like, not even 3 strikes and you're out. Truly. Ironically, though, she did have 3 back-to-back strikes, the woman that I met up with at the restaurant this last time. And yeah, that was crazy. It was like, pew, 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 3? You saw my titties? Three strikes back to back in one hangout. So technically, maybe it was 3 fucking strikes, you're out. But for me, I don't know. It just gives fool me once, shame on you. Fool me fucking twice. At this point, bitch, it's me, and I gotta get it together. So yeah, that is my story. So when she told me or made the comment about, oh, I like your curly hair. Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, you look a lot younger with your hair like that. What is that supposed to give, bitch? First of all, I gotta stop saying bitch, because when I say bitch, I don't literally mean you're a bitch. Well, I think I more so mean you're acting like a bitch. That's what it is. You might not be a bitch, but you're acting like a bitch right now, and it's mad unwarranted. Now, I think that there are times where it is warranted to be a bitch. We're going to have episodes about that. We're going to have episodes where I think it's totally okay to be a bitch. I actually need to be more of a bitch. But in a situation where you're acting like a bitch and you're saying slick comments to where it just isn't appropriate and it's disrespectful. So, yeah. You know, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm probably going to fucking bleep those out with dolphin sounds because I don't want to be as bad as, I don't want to match bad behavior with bad behavior. And I know that might sound so, oh, she's trying to be so evolved. No, I'm just trying to be the person that I want to be around. And would I want somebody coming on their podcast calling me a bitch because I made a mistake? No. So I'm going to leave this in here for the sake of growth and anonymity and y'all seeing actual growth happen in real life. But it's totally okay for us to have a behavior and then not agree with the behavior and then end that behavior. So I'm going to cease calling people bitches when I disagree with something that they said. I don't feel like putting the dolphin sound, so just, you know my heart, next episode we'll do better. Okay? Capiche? I forgive myself. Look at that, instant forgiveness. So, yeah, I just thought that comment was unwarranted. And then I was scrolling my Facebook and I saw a picture of my ex and I was like, oh my God, why is this still here? And I said something about having a picture of my ex and she's like, oh, can I see? I said, my ex? See, my same reaction I had for my hair when she said, oh, can I see pictures? And I'm like, pictures of my hair? Pictures of me with hair? If I met somebody bald, I would not care about them. I wouldn't care about them and their hair, what they look like with their hair. And then on top of that, there was another moment where she said something and she said, oh, I thought you were going to be extremely bald. Is the spectrum of baldness? Who gives a fuck? I don't know. It's just even black women's like obsession with hair, everybody's obsession with hair has become a bit extreme, which is why I'm so happy that I shaved my head because who needs this shit? It's just very, very interesting to observe. So yeah, I think for me, my initial final straw, fuck the hair, fuck that, seeing the picture of my ex, and then she went to compliment him on top of that, talk about his waves. Fuck him and his waves. I think the biggest straw for me was when she told me to tell her less. When I'm literally explaining to her that I used to pray for the fur coats in Sears because I felt so bad for them, and she literally tells me, tell me less. And I literally have to translate what she said. She's black, but she said it in Spanish. And I said to myself, what? And so I said, tell me less. And she says, yeah, tell me less. Because I couldn't believe that she would say something so disrespectful. So, yeah, I just know that I don't deserve that. And then the craziest part about it was then afterwards, I told you about the FaceTime thing. Then the event that I was going to go to that was for queers and queers only, she said that her ex was going there. So she didn't want to go and she couldn't find a babysitter. I don't think I mentioned that she had children. I actually ended up helping her like show her that one of her children might have a math learning disability because she was going off about how he was taking so long to learn math and he was so like on a first grader's math level or a kindergartner's math level. And I told her about my dyscalculia, which is like dyslexia but for math. And I said I didn't learn about that until I was 31, and I felt very fucking stupid for a very long time because I didn't know that this thing existed. I only knew about dyslexia. I didn't know about dyscalculia, which is, like I said, literally another form of dyslexia, but for math. So I felt like maybe like my mom said that's why I was in her life. And so I hope that I was able to help her son. You know, people always say, oh, you do animal rights, you don't help anybody else. Well, look at me fucking saving the children. Look at me. So, yeah, I think I brought that up for a reason. Oh, there was another moment where, I really want to finish that story about Tell Me Less. But whatever. There was another moment, the FaceTime. So she called me when I told her I was walking to a park and I was like a little bit lost, but I was going to figure it out. But I wasn't saying that for help. And then she called me and said, oh, send me your PIN, we can meet up. And then she said I could take her son's like pass for transportation. And then she had offered me some help when it came to me getting around. Called me, meet up. We literally just met up. She said, oh, I might have some time. By the way, she had literally postponed her therapy session for after our meetup. She was supposed to have an earlier therapy session, and she said she pushed it back so that we can meet up. That's another red flag, babe. Why are you not prioritizing your mental health? You not prioritizing your mental health is why we are here in the first place, and it's why you're treating me the way that you're treating me on our first meetup. So yeah, she did give me a kombucha and I appreciated that. That was nice, but You can't buy love. You can't. No, I've watched what is that, Sinners? I've watched Sinners. I know how this goes. So yeah, I think it was just one of those situations where she met me instantly. And see, this is why I wasn't even flirting with her, which is crazy. But this is why I have to turn my magnetism down sometimes, because I just genuinely feel as though people don't know how to handle it. And they go crazy. How'd you go from a recluse to wanting to FaceTime to calling me to wanting to meet up? The queer event. That's where we were going. So I was going to the queer event. I told her I was going there because I just wanted to see how I could show up as my most authentic self, but also turning down my magnetism. She said she's not going. She couldn't find a babysitter, and she doesn't, like, her ex was going to be there. Why did she text me that night after I hadn't replied to her after the park, and I told her, oh yeah, I just had to finish my homework, blah, blah, blah. She's going to go and say that she's going to go to the event and that she's going to try. She found somebody to watch her kids, and she's going to try to give me space to do what I said I was going there to do. Try. I read that very literally. She also said, what else did she say? Oh, then when I didn't reply, she said that she actually did it. She deleted the message and told me she deleted the message because she actually didn't know if she was going to go. No, you deleted the message because you knew that kind of looked a little bit crazy. You were fully convinced you weren't going to go, and then you hung out with me, and now randomly you can go. That was strange. Now, I don't know if she thought I was going to try to get with her ex. Not. I don't know if she thought that her ex was going to want to try to get with me. Not. I don't know if she wanted to try to look like she was with me. Not. I don't know what the premise of this was supposed to be, but regardless, I decided that this was not it. My energy was truly drained, and I always said it didn't matter if my energy was drained or not. It didn't matter if I was fulfilled afterwards, because the way that she acted in that moment was not it. So it didn't matter the fact, but I was drained, and so I ended up just going out that night and getting yogurt and then coming home and having a party on my own and feeling so good about it. I had no regrets. So yeah, I texted her that next morning. I sent her that message, and she received it. I don't know what the other voice note said because my energy has officially been cut off. I'm so thankful for my best friend because she actually caught me, because I said, oh, maybe I'll listen to them on like Tuesday or Wednesday. And she's like, Atiya, unless it's a fucking call to action or some shit, or if I want to follow up on this friendship, there's no need for me to. And she was right. And you really do, when you're on the road to not giving a fuck, you really do have to have an accountability partner. Truly, truly, truly. This is the same accountability partner I had that taught me the lesson of being ain't shit. I actually would love to have her on this podcast one day so that she can share these thoughts, because I do not want to reiterate her original thoughts, but just know that shit sent me on a journey of humanism and allowing myself to be human. Today's mantra is, I actually don't care. And I meant to say this in the beginning of the episode, but guess what? I actually don't care. That's what the fuck we are living by. When we go outside and we do something and we feel fucking bad about it, and not in a callous way. Like, if you fucking trip an old lady, you should care. You should care about that, because, and you should care. Don't beat up on yourself if it was unintentional, but you should care a lot about that and make up for it in the moment. But if you go out there and you curse a man out because he was disrespectful, and you start feeling bad about it because it goes against your people-pleasing nature or your fucking kind nature, but you literally needed to be in defense mode to survive that moment, that's when we have to call in to the mantra gods and say, blink, I actually don't care. Sometimes I will be caring so hard about something. I will ask for something I need, and I will feel so guilty about it. And then I say, wait, I actually don't care. It's the same thing for when you push it onto the universe and you put a request onto the universe and you pray you get it. Actually, the less you can care about it and the less you can care about the outcome of it, the better your life will go. That is truly what I have learned from this. So when it goes to being ain't shit, I think that sometimes the I actually don't care-ness is a big part of that. It's actually a huge part of that, because as people pleasers, we care too fucking much. From the theys. I used to always say, well, what about what they will think? And my mom would say, who are they? Who exactly are they? And I would say, them. And this was before there was non-binary, or before we were reminded that there wasn't a binary, or that there is a binary. We were reminded that there is a binary. Yes, there is a binary, and you can be none of it. Did I get that right? I think so. Colonization is the reason why we have binaries right? I feel like I'm using the word wrong, but colonization is the reason why they tried to split it into man and women. But it was not always like this. We had two spirits back in indigenous cultures. We had Muxés in Mexico. We have a whole bunch of different kinds of people and different identities, and it wasn't just always man and women. Colonization, we'll get into that. I'm writing a book, just know. Now, going back to this podcast and the way that I set the intention to show up authentically, I don't want to be the person that comes on this podcast and acts like they have it all together. That's why I'm leaving in the what I would call bloopers. That's why I'm leaving in the me still feeling a little bit of guilt about sharing some insight about me and my dad's real relationship. That's why I still feel a little bit of guilt about calling somebody a bitch or calling their actions bitch worthy, because I want to live with a bit more amnesty for people, but just amnesty with fucking boundaries as well. So I think that it just came to a point where giving fucks was physically debilitating for me. And even in these moments where I catch myself giving a fuck, it is debilitating, but it's also really freeing because I'm able to catch it more. And I'm able to see, okay, is this fuck worthy? Say that you only get, we'll start off big, y'all. Say that you only get 5 fucks a day. It's 8 a.m. Do we really want to spend this time, or do we really want to spend all of our fucks at this time right now? All 5 of them? No. So that's why I decided not to give a fuck about me speaking about my dad. I did decide to give a fuck about calling people a bitch, because especially because I'm talking about disrespect. So that I think goes hand in hand. So that's one of my 5 fucks that I have during the day. Now at the end of the day, the goal is to have 0 fucks. All right? That's our goal. But we're in fuck rehab right now. So we're going to start with 5 fucks and work our way down. Now, in a couple of months, mid-season, I'm going to check in and say, are y'all ready to dwindle it down to 3 fucks? But I would like for us to observe, that's our homework, let's observe how many fucks we be given, okay? And then what's the mantra today? Oh, I actually don't care. Because I refuse to waste one of the fucks. You know what I'm saying? So I've used one of my fucks already. How many have you used? Let me know. Now is when we talk about entitlement to conversations, right? So I talked about this woman and how she was talking about the FaceTime and the phone calls and us meeting up, and she wanted to meet up again right after we met up the first time. And then even when we were in person, she said, well, when are we going to meet up again if you want to? Because I think she knew it was fucked up. But I used to feel like people were entitled to my energy. Honestly, I feel like until I saw Sinners, if I'm being completely honest. Back in the day, my dad used to tell me that I was too accessible or too accessible and too predictable. He said that my friends, it's so funny because all the lessons that my dad tried to teach me are coming right back around to him, which is great. I love it. I think it's a full circle moment. Oh, I'm stretching my leg. Oh, can you guys see my pussy? Okay. I don't think you can see it. All right. So, yeah, he told me that I was too accessible because back in the day, my friends just kind of knew what my moves were going to be. My friends knew that if they called me, I would be there. They knew that, they just knew that I would be around. And I'll be around. So he told me I was too accessible. So I decided to practice that this year on New Year's Eve when my uncle called me, and I quite frankly didn't feel like speaking. I didn't feel like speaking. I was on the phone with my mom. I really wanted to enjoy watching the lightning show that was happening in the sky. And yeah, that's what I wanted to enjoy. Afterwards, I texted him and I said, hey, uncle, I honestly don't have it to give. I don't got it to give. I was feeling sad. It was my first New Year's Eve without my cat. It was just a lot. Then I spoke to him a couple of weeks later, and this was because I found out that he had a medical emergency. I find out a lot of things through my mom, and we have to work on that. Yeah, I have had to set discernment when it comes to the information that she shares with me and when I check in on people. But with that being said, especially because she will give a lot of information to other people and they will never check in on me. And that's the part that I'm like, oh, you don't have to do that? Okay, you don't have to check in on people once you find out that they're going through it? Okay, all right. You don't want to talk about mothers. All right. That's from white chicks. But yeah, so I reached out to him when I found out about his medical emergency. This is before I had this epiphany about obligatory communication. Because now I reach out to him when I want to. And that feels amazing. And we have great conversations. But before, when I was doing it because I didn't want, or because I felt like I had to, that was when it was like, okay, this is not, by the way, it's not fair. It's not fair to the person on the other end, the obligatory communication. Some people don't care though. Some people are like, as long as you're talking to me, I don't care if it feels like it's obligatory. So when I spoke to him, he said, yeah, I can't lie. Like I did feel away. I was like, what? But then I had to check myself. Yeah, you did. I had to check myself and know that, well, she'll talk to me when she wants to talk to me. This has nothing to do with me. And sometimes it does. Sometimes it does actually have something to do with the person on the other end. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I just genuinely don't have the capacity, and that's okay too. But I think that in that moment, I felt like, oof, I made him feel away. Oof, I made him feel, I don't know. I just made him feel away. And then I sat with it and I was like, oof, I made him feel away. Like, yes, that's the point. That's the whole point of setting a boundary. The person on the other end is going to feel away because they're not used to the boundary being set. That means we're doing something right. It does. And it's teaching me also how to accept boundaries. My mom set an energy boundary with me the other day. I wanted to vent to her. I had a really bad night. And she was like, okay, I just got to get some things done and I'll be able to call you in a few. I really appreciated that. I really did. I truly did for her. And then I had to handle it with grace, right? And so I had to practice that. That was a moment of practicing. And I could probably do even better next time if I'm being honest with you. But I think I just didn't have it to give. I could have big upped her in that moment and said, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you for taking this time for yourself. And yeah, I'll be here, no problem at all. But I quite literally had the worst night and I didn't have it to give when it came to that. So I just simply said, okay, thank you, and called it a day. But that's better than the spectrum of saying, oh, well, I felt entitled to her time and I felt like she should have talked to me about this heavy topic. Nope. If it's an emergency, I can call 911. So yeah, I think that was a great lesson. And then I had a situation where I traveled somewhere and I just needed a month. Yeah, I needed a month of not talking to people. So I blocked some of the people that were constantly checking for me and hounding me and texting me. And that felt amazing. Two of those people being family members. Honestly, one of those people being my dad. Yeah, I blocked my dad for almost a month. And that felt really refreshing. I felt like as soon as I blocked them, everything started working out for me, which I should remember that. But yeah, it was like an energetic cleansing. And once again, it just felt amazing. But here, listen to this. So then I unblocked my dad because something happened where I was traveling and there was violence. And I thought that he was going to check in on me to see if I was okay. I was updating my stepmom and I was like, okay, like he'll check in on any moment. No. No, my dad didn't. Everything happened on Sunday. My dad didn't check in on me until Thursday. And when he sent me the message, he said, I don't like to believe what's in the news. Lie, number one, because the reason why we stopped fucking with each other during COVID was because he was believing everything that was happening in the news. Simultaneously, he stopped fucking with me. I stopped fucking with him. That was it. The whole damn family, to be honest with you, on his side, except for some of his siblings who were very kind to me during that time. Ironically, I'm not fucking with half those siblings anymore. But anyways, but I think that some people are able to be there. It's so weird. Some people are able to be there for me only when I'm happy. Some people are able to be there for me only when I'm down because they feel like, oh, they can come in and like be the savior or save me. Very, very interesting psychosis. But nonetheless, I'm grateful for the support, whatever the fuck the intention was. I got the text from my dad. He said, I don't like to believe what's in the news. So can you tell me, is it really as bad as they say it is? And if so, what is your plan? Excuse me, my brother? Not, are you okay? Not, is everything all right? Like, no, not that. What is your plan? And I don't like to believe what's in the news when you literally spent all of 2020 and 2021 and 2022 believing what was in the news. And every time I come to your house, the news is literally on your TV. May the defense rest its case, please. Yeah, I've left the chat. I didn't reply. Now, he's paying for my schooling. Fun fact, I am in school. I'm a scholar. We'll talk about that more later because it's one of the highlights of my life, but I'm keeping it close to my chest. And he didn't pay me for that month's school payment. Now, I'm putting my payments on my credit card, and there's a minimum payment balance, and I haven't put anything else on that credit card. It's just school now. He didn't even send me the minimum payment balance. And my bank account last month, that's all I'll say. So I had to go and reconfigure some shit and then pay that myself, which in the grand scheme of things, I'm just so grateful that the minimum fucking payment was $59. So great. I'm grateful for that. But I can't lie. I started then having dreams or nightmares about him and a couple of different other people, and my psyche was just unrested. I felt like I just got into a really dark place. I felt like it was bringing up a lot of shit for me. I felt like I already felt a way about that situation where he didn't check in on me until 4 days after the situation actually happened. And y'all, I can't lie. I went the fuck off. No, I went off and confronted him. So, yeah, I think for me, that's financial abuse with withholding money because someone has not replied to your stupid text. That was an uncaring text. It was like an obligatory, what's your plan? That shit doesn't make no sense. That will never make sense to me. So, yeah, I expressed myself, and then when he replied, he was like, I don't know why you can't tell that I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. He kept saying, I love you. And it just reminded me so much of my ex. My ex used to be like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And it just doesn't feel anything. One time he literally said, I love you. My dad told me this right after my horrible trip with him in October. And I said, it doesn't feel that way. And then he said, I understand. So if you understand, my brother, you don't need to keep trying to gaslight me into why you don't understand. Like, you make it to me a me thing. Like I don't understand. Like, I don't see his love, and that's my fault. No, I literally told him I will list out a list of reasons from just October as to why I feel like you don't love me, and maybe that'll help bring you some clarity. So, anyways, he did say that he held the payment back for me because I hadn't replied to his text. That is emotional abuse and financial abuse and so many different kinds of abuse, mental abuse. So yeah, he ended up finally making the payment, but at this point I'm just fucking done. So he sent me another paragraph that next morning. I don't know what it said. I texted him and said, I'm protecting my heart right now. This is the month of my fur baby passing, so I will not. That's another red flag, by the way. When I tell somebody that my fur baby passed and they don't say my condolences, because why the lady that I hung out with never told me her condolences. And I literally spoke about Tam like 5 times, 6 times, maybe even 7 or 8. I speak about her a lot. So yeah, the accessibility from my dad has been cut off. And I think that this is a big thing, right? The other day, my mom didn't reply to her friend who had never checked in on me during any of the tragic things I've been through. I would say starting October. Then comments in a group chat with me and my mom and says, Hi ladies, Atiya, I texted your mom, but I haven't heard from her. What am I supposed to do? Call the police? Like, what am I supposed to do? Beat her up? What am I supposed to do about that? Yell at her, reprimand her for her not texting you back? That shit has nothing to do with me. And I know you're not involving me when you literally haven't spoken to me since October, for real, unless I reached out to you or you sent me a meme that my mom sent to you for the holidays. It's just too much. So yeah. She just sent me a text. Lord knows she probably gonna end up sending my mom a text or a group chat talking about, I haven't heard from Atiya. I don't know. These people don't get it. They don't see the entitlement. You don't get to not check for me for this long, and then you want instant communication in that moment. Fuck everybody. True. And I literally mean that from the bottom. Fuck everybody who feels that way about me. I really do feel that way. Who feels entitled to my time and to my energy. So this is just your gentle reminder that people are not fucking entitled to you and your energy. They're not entitled to your time unless they're paying for that shit and paying a good price, might I add. They're not entitled to you, to your time, to the fucks that you give, to the care that you devote. They're not entitled to that. You can renege that and remove that any second that you want. I had a friendship, and I talk about this in another episode, and at the end of the friendship, she literally says, well, I guess we just don't do friendship the same way, or I guess I'm a better friend. She's a better friend. Yeah, you are. You are so much of a better friend. Now go out there and be a better friend to other people, because apparently we don't work, and that's okay. It is okay. Like, normalize breaking up with people. Normalize taking space from people when those people are in toxic patterns and they are pushing and projecting those patterns onto you. Normalize letting people think that they got it. You got it. You know what? I'm a bitch. You know what? I'm in the wrong. You know what? It's my fault. I actually don't give a fuck what your narrative is, because there's nothing I could do to change that. So I think that's where not caring comes in. I don't care if this person goes around the community that I just went out with and says Atiya was a bitch. She was so stern with me and didn't give me a chance to continue to fuck her over. I don't care what people think about me, because good, if you want to form your thoughts on me based on what other people say, good on you. You probably were never my person to begin with in the first place, if that's how susceptible you are to other people's opinions. So yeah, that is a message I really want to leave y'all with. And sometimes meet things with curiosity. That's what my therapist always tells me. Wow, it's the 10th already. Fuck. I was supposed to schedule a therapy appointment. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do that now. Okay, anyways. I have another therapy appointment, but this was supposed to be a different one. What is the feeling that you feel when you think about cutting that person off that is literally draining your energy? What is the feeling that you feel when you imagine not speaking to that person again? What is the energy you feel when you let that person know that you will never speak to them again and that you need to love them from afar and take your space? There are so many different ways that you can say things to so many different people. I just met this woman. So this was the way that I wanted to set this boundary with this woman energetically. But it might be different with my uncle. It might be different with my dad. It might be different with an aunt. It might be different with a cousin. It might be different with the best friend. It might be different with whomever, with my mom. But I think that this is where boundaries really come in. And I feel like I set a lot of boundaries in my budding friendship with this person. I don't even like to use the word friendship anymore, but I talk about that in another episode. But I think the biggest thing for me was just the refractory period, the period of me refracting myself the fuck out of her life and not being subjected to whatever she was going through, because that was just a lot. And I think that another thing I'm grateful for is learning not to take in anything else after it. After that's done, like my best friend reminded me, it's done. There's not a call to action after that. There's no need for me to go back and listen to what your thoughts were. I heard your thoughts, and that's why I don't want you in my world. I think that people talk a great game. They talk a great game, but when it comes to actually being who they are, that's where the cookie crumbles, and that's where you really see them for where they really are. Talk about the mask that she was talking about. I saw that mask drop, baby. Okay. So yeah, at the end of the day, I just want us to grow together on this podcast. I want to share these experiences with y'all, because why the fuck else do they happen to me if I'm not supposed to share them? And I just don't want to be that podcast that seems like they have it all together. Sometimes that's relatable to listen to. If that's what you want to listen to, then great. I don't have all the answers. I'm still figuring it out. And I think that's what makes me authentically me. So yeah, I'm going to wrap up this episode. And I'd like to end with this PSA that people are going to feel away. So the fuck what? That's it. If you remember that people are going to feel away and that there's nothing you could do about it, be yourself. Be your beautiful self. It's going to feel really awkward and uncomfortable at first, but the more that we do it, the more that it's going to feel awkward and uncomfortable to not be ourselves. And that's the place where I'm trying to get to in my life. I want to get to the part where I can actively see, oh, wait, this is not me being me. This is me reverting back to the old way of being, where I felt like I had to be a certain kind of way around a certain kind of people. And that's not going to serve us in any way when it comes to our authenticity. So again, people are going to feel away. So the fuck what? In the words of the teacher, Mrs. Norberry from Mean Girls, I'm a blocker. I block people. I blocked my dad. I will block any fucking body. I will literally block anyone who tries to harm big me or little me in a subtle, minuscule, miniature, grande, or extra grande way. It doesn't matter. I will block any fucking body. Maybe it's because I'm a Virgo, maybe it's because I'm a bad bitch. Who knows? But regardless, you're getting blocked with damn near no apology most of the time. Have I ever apologized for blocking somebody? No, I've never blocked somebody and regretted that shit. And a lot of people have said to me, well, I don't block people because I want them to see me succeed. I want them to see me succeed. Have you succeeded? Are they watching your success? Or if you are, why would you want them to even be a part of that? Why would you want them to be able to enjoy these parts of you still and to have access to these parts of you still? So if you are out there and you are succeeding, I think one of the biggest successes is that you have these people out of your life, that you set this boundary. Parasocial relationships are still relationships. So you are still feeding into this person and you're letting your ego, which is fine if that's what you want to do. That's what you're going to do. You're letting your ego control who can enjoy you from afar and control who can still have access to your energy. So I would just, for those people out there who say, oh, I want them to see me succeed, I want them to see my success. What if I told you that if you cut them off, you'd probably succeed even greater than you already are, and that they are not worthy of being able to watch you win? They knew you were going to win. That's why they had to constantly try to bring you down. But for you to continue to give them access to you, it's just an important it's an important and interesting observation that I've heard from quite a few people. I am not one of those I want my haters to see me win type of people. Haters, sure, whatever, because I cannot even count all of them. I don't even see them. But like people who want to cause me pain, absolutely not. You guys don't get to see me at all. You guys don't get to see me and enjoy my light, because I know how magnetic I am, and I know how my magnetism you will still be benefiting off of that. You will still be benefiting off of the education that I give, off of the beautiful things I create. You will still be benefiting off of me and my energy. So no, you don't get to have access to me. And I would just like to leave that little sprinkle of information for people out there who, I'm not sprinkling like the lady that does sprinkle. I don't even know why I did that. But yeah, just reconsider when you say these things. Why do you want to give this person access to you? Now, there are some people that I feel like I do not want to block because I want to practice just not caring about them and their energy and the way that they show up in my world. But I can't lie. Those are very, very few people. And if they push the boundary where they're just not fucking getting that I want my space, then you get blocked. Like, it's just, I'm really like, it's really, you get a chance, you get blocked. You get a chance, you get blocked. Like, it's really that simple, because my energy is more important than other people's fucking feelings, especially those people that don't care about my feelings. So we're going to leave it with that. We're going to end with the mantra. What is it? I actually don't care. You got to say it like that. I actually don't care. Oh, I actually don't care. This was so amazing. I love this. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful. There are going to be many more episodes that are in this kind of realm about not giving a fuck about people and what they think, not giving a fuck about a lot of shit, and also giving a fuck about certain things that we should give more fucks about. So we'll find a way to enjoy the duality of it all. But I want to thank y'all so much. Please give yourself a hug for me. I'm so grateful that my prongs on my shirt are not sticking me the way that they were originally. But yeah, please be kind to yourself. Please be kind to animals. We're going to actually end this with taking 3 more deep breaths. Oh, wait. But first I got to, okay. Ooh. I got to stretch more. All right, you ready? If you're still breathing, please keep breathing. Just keep breathing and breathing and breathing and breathing. You know I gotta keep on breathing. And don't forget to be kind to yourself, to be kind to animals, and to be kind to the motherfuckers who deserve your kindness. But otherwise, fuck them. And remember, I actually don't give a fuck. I love you. Until next time. Mwah.